I'm not here to waste your time. The easiest side hustle that no one talks about is called bank churning. This is where you open new bank accounts continuously and take the rewards that those banks are offering for people that open new accounts. This is completely legal, completely free, and can be done from the comfort of your own home. All you really have to do is keep track of all the bank accounts that you have open and also make sure that you're reading the fine print so that there are no things like minimum fees or minimum amounts you have to have in the account. If that was all you're here for, then please make sure to like the video and leave a comment on your way out. I really appreciate you watching. But if you'd like more details on how to do it, the pros and cons, how much you can make, tax implications, and so on, feel free to stick around and I'll make sure to tell you everything you need to know. First things first, the definition. Bank account churning refers to the practice of opening and closing bank accounts strategically to take advantage of sign-up bonuses, promotional offers, and interest rates. This can be a way to earn extra money or benefits by leveraging the incentives that banks provide to attract new customers. It's similar to credit card rewards for credit cards. If you sign up for a new credit card, maybe you get a special rate or a special rebate on your first $5,000 or $10,000 in purchases. It's conceptually the same thing, but instead of credit cards, you're doing it with a bank account. And doing it is actually pretty simple. The first thing you're going to want to do is find a list of banks that are actually doing this. And this is pretty easy because companies like Bankrate publish these lists regularly. For example, here is September's best bank account opens for October. I wrote the script in September, but I am filming in October. And as you can see here, Chase Private Client offers a $3,000 bonus if you open an account with them. Citibank offers up to $1,500 in bonuses. Huntington National Bank offers $600 in bonuses. BMO, PNC, Wells Fargo, SoFi. You see all of these banks that want you to sign up with accounts for them so that they can take your money and invest it or loan it out to other people at higher interest rates. And so they are willing to give you between $100 and $3,000 in order to do that. The next thing you're going to want to do once you find an account that you want to open up, like Wells Fargo, is you're going to want to read the fine print and make sure that everything is as it seems. This is really important because you want to make sure you know what you're signing up for, especially if you're signing up for a lot of these accounts. You don't want to have one mistake overlooked and then have 10 or 15 different bank accounts that mistake is repeated for. I, for example, had one bank that was charging me a usage fee of $5 per month over the course of 4 years, and I had no idea because I hadn't read the fine print. So make sure that when you're signing up for these accounts that you read every bit of fine print so that you don't miss anything. It's definitely worth your time because you're going to be paid between $100 and $3,000 for this. After you've found a bank account that you think you like and you've read all the fine print to make sure there are no hidden fees of any kind, you're ready to open an account, which is the next step. And then as you do that, you're going to want to transfer in whatever the minimum amount required is. Usually there isn't a minimum account here. Like you can see in PNC, it's up to a $400 bonus, but you have to have like a deposit of $5,000. Or if you want to get $200, you have to have a deposit of $2,000. Or if you want to get $100, then you have to have a deposit of $500. If you don't have the money on hand, that's actually not a problem. You can open this account and then change your direct deposit with your employer to have them put the next paycheck in this account, which will probably hit the minimum for at least some of these offers, and you'll get that money anyway. As you do this step, it's important to make sure that you record the bank account and all the details and the date you opened it, the amount you got, and so on and so forth in something like an Excel spreadsheet, because it's really important for future steps that you keep track of everything very carefully. After you've done all that, the last step is to close the bank account, and that's the churn part of bank account churning. You want to make sure you don't break the rules though, so have a minimum amount of time that you plan to keep each bank account open. A lot of these say that you have to have something like 45 days where the money is in the account or actively used for 45 days. So I would personally recommend that you keep each account open for a year. This is where the Excel spreadsheet comes in handy. Every year you can close the previous year's bank accounts, take the money out, and put that into the next bank account that you sign up for in order to keep this process going. And then that's it. You're done. You've completed the whole bank account churn process and earned yourself $100 to $3,000. Now, if that's all you're interested in, absolutely, you can click off the video now. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and a comment. But if you'd like to learn about other things like tax implications or information from your employer that you might be interested in, then feel free to stick around because I want to go over all of the pros and cons because there are several to consider here. The biggest and most obvious pro is, of course, the money. Hypothetically, you could be making between $100 and $500 per week if you open one account every week. In fact, there's a Reddit user here on Reddit who has made $13,000 $13,000 just in the last year from bank account churning. He says, made $13,000 last year from churning. Fun side hobby. And then here he keeps on his phone a list of all of the banks that he's opened accounts with. As you can see here, Chase Checking, $200 bonus, opened on 3/22. First DD, which is direct deposit. And then he lists when his bonus was posted. Here's another bank, Trucit. And then he talks about all the things that he did there. There's Wells Fargo, MoneyLion, Seacoast, Fifth Third Bank. He also puts in dates that he's closed them. So in this case, he just closed it 2 weeks later, which may have been the minimum amount of time that he was required to keep it open. In some of these, he keeps it open for months, sometimes even years. It's just whatever it takes to get the most amount of money from these companies that is possible. So that's the big pro. One of the big cons you're going to run into is that your HR department at your employer might get annoyed. If you're constantly changing up your direct deposit location, then your HR might be frustrated that every week they're having to put your paycheck into a different account so that you're able to get those rewards. I personally would recommend using something like Zelle or wire transfers to do your own transfers so that your employer doesn't get annoyed or suspicious or become upset by what you're doing. It's easiest just to keep this kind of thing on the down low. Another huge pro is that this is really simple and completely legal. Really, all you need is an internet connection, and you don't even necessarily need that. If you've got a phone, you can go somewhere that has free internet, or you can go to your local library and sign up for accounts from there. There's really no reason this can't be done as long as you have proximity to somewhere that can give you access to a computer and, by association, online banking. A big con, however, is that banks are allowed to reject you. They're very aware that there are people out there that do this. In most instances, it's not enough money to where they really care, because their objective is to get a bunch of people together and then make money on interest rates as they collect all of their money in bank accounts. But if they find out that you're opening dozens and dozens and dozens of accounts and not actually making them enough money for it to be worth it for them to offer the bonuses to you, then there's a chance that it's going to become harder and harder every year to continue to do that, because they decide you're not worth the money, and so they prevent you from opening further accounts, which they are legally allowed to do. Leaving each account open for at least a year will absolutely help with this, as you're less likely to be flagged if you've had an account for 366 days as opposed to 364 days. Longer amounts of time having an account open will mean that a bank is less likely to think that you're bank churning over and over just to get the money. So those are the major pros and the major cons, but there are some final considerations that you will need to know. Mainly, you will have to report this income on your taxes, and there's probably not a way that you could reasonably get away with this step, because the banks will be reporting the amount of money that they gave in bonuses to their customers to the IRS, and they'll have everything: your name, address, phone number, social security number, identification, so on and so forth. So this is not a step that you can just skip. Some banks will send you something like this, which is a 1099 MISC, or 1099 miscellaneous, which is just for income you've earned that's kind of miscellaneous. It's not really associated with the business, and it wasn't very much. They may also send you what's called a 1099 INT, and this is what that looks like. They are very similar, and it has to do with interest income, because sometimes this is qualified as interest income if you open an account that promises something like 5 or 10% interest for the first year. And these are pretty easy to complete. You just fill it out, and then you send it into the IRS, and then you pay whatever is due or what you owe for the money that you earned opening these bank accounts. Now, if the amount of bonuses that you earned from a bank is less than $600 across all the accounts that you opened, then probably they're not going to send you either one of these, in which case you will have to fill out this form 1040 and actually report this income here on line H, I believe it is, under other earned income. See instructions just for more information about how you do this, and you would just report whatever the total was here on this line, which you should have in the Excel sheet that you had back in step like 2 or 3 or something. You would just write in here, in addition to whatever income you had and whatever taxes you paid, you earned 10 to 12,000 this year off of opening bank accounts. You write that in there, and then you will be taxed on it, or it will be subtracted from whatever money that you were going to get back in your tax return. So that's bank account churning and how you do it. It is the easiest and simplest way to legally earn extra money, between like at least $500, possibly up to $1,000 a month. So happy churning, and let me know in the comments how it goes.